Welcome back once again, and as we earlier said, we're going to be embarking over the unprecedented development in the Egyptian-European ties and how far have we reached, especially at this very critical time in the region. To shed more light on this very important topic, we're very delighted to be having with us live over the phone Professor Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations. Good morning, Dr. Wageeh.
Good morning to you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Why exactly did Egypt form a meeting point for interests of the major powers in the international order?
Yes, why Egypt is doing that? That's a question.
Right.
Yeah, of course, Egypt is a role country, an important leading country in this area and in the world. And of course, as a role country, Egypt is very interested and keen to establish the very balanced relationship with all powers. And when it comes to the nearest geographical place, we can find that Europe, the European Union. We are called the southern of the Mediterranean, and they are the north of the Mediterranean. So we are Mediterranean countries, and even if you are talking about Egypt, Egypt could be identified as an African country, an Arab country, a Muslim country, and also a Mediterranean country. So,
right.
Yes.
Right. European countries, as they come, they have a great deal of cultural backgrounds. They totally recognize and appreciate Egypt's leading role in the region and how important is it and influential when it comes to crisis management, when it comes to effecting peace and security inside the region, when it comes to taking a lead role in sorting out diplomatic problems or economic crisis or even political conflicts between different countries in the continent, in the African continent in general, not only in the Arab region. Explain to us the importance of the geopolitical place of Egypt on the map, and how important is it to the world?
Yes, of course, every analyst know very well the geopolitics of Egypt, and it connects Africa with Asia and Europe, and in the middle of the world. And of course, this geostrategic place put a great deal of responsibility on Egypt, because stabilization in Egypt means stabilization in the entire area and also in the world. So I think that Egypt is very aware of its critical and important role as a peace carrying country, disseminating peace in its foreign policy and in its orientation and stances. And I think that all the events that really took place recently prove that Egypt doesn't want to fall in the traps of war, despite of the provocation and the irresponsible act of some party here or there. And Egypt is exerting a great deal of patience and emotional stability, because Egypt and the Egyptian people actually are aware of their important role to stabilize the entire area and the world and to disseminate peace.
Right. As we all know that the most recognized thing about Egypt as an Arab country, ever since its leader and head of state, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, have stepped into office, is soft diplomacy and soft power. And that's why Egypt have effected a very powerful, unique balance and bold relationships with neighboring countries and also European and Western countries. Explain to us how Egypt is maintaining that very unique, high-profile talent in maintaining relations with a very good balance with countries like that.
Yes, of course, especially when it comes to the European Union in particular. there is almost European Union is the most important strategic partner when it comes to investment, when it comes to cooperation. About 25% of Egypt's transactions are with the European Union. It reaches almost like $27 billion or euro, I think. And I think that it is very important to have this kind of north and south relationship with the Mediterranean, and cooperation should be there. So Egypt raised the level of relationship to a strategic relationship, especially with the EU. And we have gone through many phases of that. It is not one time go. We started by talking about, historically speaking, the Arab-European dialogue, and that term was cancelled, substituted by Barcelona process for much more condensed cooperation. And now Egypt is elaborating on many processes, and we have lately seen what's called the Khartoum process. And last week there was a very important meeting led by Egypt here in Cairo about the Khartoum process. And the Khartoum process includes almost 40 countries from Europe and Africa. So Egypt also is the gate for Africa and for stabilization in the entire continent of Africa.
So, in spite of Egypt's very unique geopolitical power and place on the map, and also in spite of its strength, its soft diplomacy, and maintaining high-profile bilateral relations with different countries, especially members of the EU and all that, still we're always in continuous, under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we're always in continuous movement and process of diversifying our strategic partnerships. We do not stop on a limit. We're always diversifying our strategic partnership.
Yes, diversification of partnership is very important. We have good strategic relationship with Europe, with Asian countries, and of course with the United States of America. And this makes Egypt play its important role. And when you are talking about soft diplomacy, I think one of the good things that Egyptian people feel these days is that the leadership worked on both hard power and soft power together, because you need hard power to protect peace, to establish peace, and to prevent other people or reckless actors who really with some zero mentality to aggress on you. So Egypt has to be powerful, and I think that one of the greatest scene I have ever seen in my life is that this popular support when the president went to Khan al-Khalili, which is a very crowded area in Cairo, with Emmanuel Macron, and you can see how popular the president, and this is because that the leadership has already secured both soft and hard power together in a world of storms, zero-sum mentality, aggression. That scene could never be forgotten, and this was expressed by President Emmanuel Macron himself, and was witnessed by the entire world. Egyptian people are supporting the leadership, and this is also bolstering both the soft power and the hard power of the Egyptian people with the leadership.
Right. How important is it, mentioning the French visit, of course, President Emmanuel Macron visiting Cairo on a very, very popular visit, a very popular trip. on many sidelines and the side effects and sidelines of this visit and highlights of this visit. How important is the Egyptian-European strategic partnership and development that is witnessed until this very moment, past few years?
Yes, I think that one of the most important aspects, yes, of course, we are talking about economy with capital E, but again, there is something called cultural diplomacy and addressing the cross-cultural communication challenge. You know, there are a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of turmoil and a lot of trouble because of not addressing this concept of cultural diplomacy. And I think that Egypt is very successful in addressing these particular concepts, given the historic role and the experience of the country, who really was exposed to many cultures who really came to this country. And I think historically speaking, even when it came to even wars against Egypt, you know, who did not come to our place? So we gained a great deal of experience, and Egypt has its unique features all over the world when it comes to the role of cross-cultural communication challenge and dealing with that challenge in interfaith dialogue, in cultural dialogues with all its sorts. And I think this is the country has, you know, you can't find any country with a science with its name like Egyptology. You can find this old civilization and all these monuments. And when Herodotus, the famous Greek historian, came, he said in Egypt there are so many wonders that really challenge description. And he was really okay. He uttered the truth about this country. I think Egypt is very equipped with Al-Azhar, with the Christian Orthodox Church. All of these are very authentic, old traditions, played roles for stabilization and disseminating peace and enhancing interfaith dialogue, which is very important and very needed in this era.
Right. That sounds very good, but also another question that might cross the mind, which is, do you think that strong partnership, sustainable partnership, was able to face all the changes Europe and the whole world witnessed through the past few years?
Yes, that's a very good question, and I think that, yes, you know, my point of view is that yes, there are very good steps on the part of Egypt and the European Union when they establish something like, as I've said, the Khartoum process, the Barcelona process, many processes with that name, even you were given the Rome process, fine. And you have these kind of processes generated a lot of modalities, civil society, formal level, informal level, grassroots level, yes. But again, what is needed more is to have much more collaborative world with the European Union that should spread all over the world to deal with the roots of conflict. Because if you are talking about the problem of migration, the problem of moving places, you are talking about, why don't we talk about the root of the problems? We have to solve the problems in a much more quicker way. We should not keep crisis to exacerbate as we have seen lately. And I think that is a burden and a responsibility for Egypt and the European Union and the international community to intervene and to improve the level of international law implementation and enhancement, the role of the United Nations. I think instead of talking about processes that deal with migration and related problems, no, let us stop that kind of migration, see the roots of the conflict. Let us stop the genocide war which is taking place in Palestine, which is condemned by all fair-minded people all over the world. And as I've listened to a video being disseminated by Bernie Sanders, the United States senator, American senator. he said that this complicity of the genocide war must come to an end. This is barbaric, and he said what most of the entire world is saying, that the main stream of the fair-minded people all over the world are with Mr. Sanders and what he said, because this is very important, or else the crisis could be exacerbated in a way that is not in the favor of anyone in the world.
Right. How did geography play a promising role, or a leading role rather, in boosting the relations between Egypt and Europe in bilateral ties?
Yeah, I think the what we call the geopolitical, which is, you will never talk about only geography, but you are talking about geopolitics dimension. Yes, geopolitics really triggered, by the way, as it should trigger good things. It triggered the imperialism movement a long time ago. And you can find the zero mentality actors in the world wants to change that geopolitical position by trying to aggress on countries to improve its borders and to improve its geopolitical. I think that geopolitics are there to be left as it is. And the even international law says that the issues of water and the borders should be intact as they are, whatever was the history of that, because this is something that would call for stabilization of the entire world. So I think the geopolitical thing is extremely important. If you see what is happening in Ukraine and Russia, the root of its geopolitical problem. Someone like Brzezinski said, if Russia took back Ukraine, Russia is the greatest empire again. If they do not, they fail to do that, we are controlling everything. You can see the geopolitical thing is there in the core of many conflicts. So the world must be wise in dealing with that, and not to try to make this radical change of the geopolitical situation of countries, because this would create chaos and aggression. And I hope international law should come and it should be enhanced, because it is the only way out of that.
Right. On that note, of course, Professor Dr. Hassan Wageeh, Professor of International Relations, would like to thank you so much talking to us on The Breakfast Show. We're going to go to a short break. We'll come to continue The Breakfast Show, so stay with us.